and welcome to the channel. This is Nerd.World. Before we get started, I'd just like to take a second to plug my sponsor, Relentless Rebels. They are specialists in Viking style and other alternative jewelry, such as the one that I'm currently wearing. They are linked in the description below. If you think that that's the kind of thing you're into, have a look on their website, take a look around. If you go to checkout, don't forget to use the promo code NERD20, all in capitals, because that will get you a 20% discount on all your purchases. That will help my channel, and it gets you a discount on something you might enjoy. With that said, this video is about Star Trek again, and I'm continuing the Captain series that I only yesterday realized that I haven't done one of them in a while, and I realized the last one I did was about 2 months ago, and I've been meaning to do them more regularly than that. So onwards with Captain Rachel Garrett, commander of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701C, the first female captain of an Enterprise that we know of. Captain Garrett was commander, as again, of the Ambassador class Enterprise C. Before we get into her story, let's start with, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Tell me what you think about it. She only really appeared in one episode from an alternate timeline in Star Trek The Next Generation. A really good episode, I should point out. But let's get into her character. Captain Garrett was a human female Starfleet officer who achieved the rank of captain. By 2344, she was the commanding officer of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701C, the flagship of Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets. Quite an achievement for any officer, a very coveted role. The Ambassador-class vessel was a brand new ship at the time, with experimental weapons, propulsion, power plants, computer systems. Most notably, the vessel included phaser strips that were at least 10 times more powerful than the predecessor weapon system, the standard Federation phaser ball turret. The Ambassador class was a very impressive starship and was classified as a type of cruiser, meaning it was structurally pretty sound, was a sturdy ship. Garrett would earn fame as the captain of the Enterprise when she responded to a Klingon distress signal, which, don't get me started, Klingon distress signals from the planet of Narendra 3. The colony was under attack by 4 Romulan vessels, probably early versions of a warbird or possibly a descendant vessel of the battlecruiser. If you believe fan art, it was a variant of the warbird, but to be honest, it's never really been described. 4 Romulan vessels attacking, warbirds of some description. During the course of this battle, the Enterprise C would be destroyed while defending the colony. The Klingons would consider this an honourable act, and this would serve to promote better relations between the Klingon Empire and the United Federation of Planets. Now, part of the backstory that we learn from The Next Generation is that the exchange of weapons fire created a temporal rift that a very damaged Enterprise C drifted through and arrived decades later in the future, emitting a distress signal. Captain Garrett, who had been severely injured in the fight, was surprised to see the USS Enterprise D, the immediate successor of the Enterprise C, being the vessel responding to the distress call. Learning that she had been displaced in time and now the Federation was at war with the Klingons, at first she wanted to get involved and help defend the Federation, but Picard, under advice from Guinan and General being awesome, realized that they were now in an alternate timeline. What had the Enterprise C's removal from the timeline actually done? They worked out that if the Enterprise C had not left, that they could have prevented this war in the first place. The Enterprise C needed to return to its own time, go back through the rift, and restore the original timeline, which didn't involve a losing war against the Klingon Empire that the Federation was going to lose. The addition of one more starship, especially by this point 20-odd-year-old vessel, was not going to make any significant difference to the war, but sending it back 20 years to prevent the war in the first place obviously would. Initially, Captain Garrett and her crew realized this was a suicide mission, as Guinan, who, as her species, have an innate, somewhat empathic or psychic ability to sense changes in the timeline or when things just aren't right, knew that the Enterprise C was not going to survive this. She also was aware that Tasha Yar, who now existed in this timeline, wouldn't exist in the original timeline, and that she died a dishonorable death. Although Captain Garrett was initially reluctant to go back through the rift and return to her own time, knowing that it was a suicide mission, realizing just how many lives would be saved on both the Federation side and the Klingon side by averting an unnecessary war, by simply preventing, or at least trying to prevent, one attack by the Romulans upon the Klingons at Narendra 3, she eventually decided to go back, but before they were able to, they came under attack from Klingon forces. The Enterprise C was attacked, although they had been trying to repair systems to get the vessel's best fighting shape as possible for its engagement with the Romulans. Its previous or future date, wibbly wobbly timey wimey again, with the Romulans. Captain Garrett was severely injured and killed during this battle by a piece of shrapnel to the head. One of her subordinates would take command along with Tasha Yar, who would go aboard the Enterprise C to go back in time with them, and using her tactical knowledge and experiences from the Federation-Klingon War would help them maybe not win, but go down swinging, certainly. And this resulted in a restoration of the timeline. Captain Garrett would not wrongly be credited with this accomplishment, as she was the one who ordered the Enterprise C to respond to the distress call, and if it had not been for the temporal displacement, events would have taken place exactly as we understood them. She would have been in command of the Enterprise C, she went down fighting, they saved the Klingons, or tried to. Klingons saw this as an honourable act, saved the Federation from a costly and unnecessary war, and improved relations between the two powers, which would go on to be crucial in the future wars against the Borg and against the Dominion. So, in a sense, she saved the Alpha Quadrant by proxy. She was certainly the right choice for the command of the Federation's flagship. She was a fine officer who, although initially, as any of us would be, was reluctant to throw herself on the sword, knowing that the mission she was going on was a certainty of death, she eventually did her duty and did the honourable thing, and decided that the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few, or the one. She did die in battle against the Klingons, ironically, when she was actually intending to go back in time and save the Klingons, and there is a certain irony to that. All the same, fine captain. What does everyone think of her? Do you remember the episodes from The Next Generation which you featured? And you should, because they are fantastic. If you've not seen The Next Generation, it's well worth going back and watching, and if you have seen it, it's well worth going back and watching. Tell me what you think about the Enterprise C and Captain Garrett, and tell me if there's any other Starfleet captains you want me to do a profile of in the comments below. With that said, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Not that that really matters to the YouTube algorithm if you actually study it, but go right ahead and do it anyway. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you for watching. That's actually much more important to the YouTube algorithm. And bye bye.